think. Yep.
Greetings. First campfire chat with
Minus
no campfire.
Burning is not allowed currently in New Mexico, so no campfire chat for us, just a chat.
Just a chat.
So today we wanted to take a minute to kind of talk about what we alluded to on our last video, and that is that we are ditching the Airstream and we are
Keeping the hats.
Keeping the hats because they're comfortable and warm. And going to an Oliver Legacy Elite 2 camper, which is 10 feet shorter. So I guess the big question is, why are we doing this?
Why?
So why are we doing this?
Well, before we left Maine, we knew that the Airstream was a little too big for what we wanted. Many of you know it's our second. We had a 27 and then got a 30 when we were living in it full time, and I needed a dedicated workspace. And it was wonderful, and it still is, but it's just too much space and too heavy and too big. Going down the road, going to different campsites. There are national parks that we can't even get into because of the size. So before we even left Maine, we were looking at other options. So this isn't something that we necessarily did abruptly. I know some of you are probably laughing because that's kind of what we do sometimes. But this has been something...
After a lot of analysis.
Yeah, this we've thought about a lot, and we looked at other campers since we left Maine.
Different formats, slide-in campers, other Airstreams.
And it was a hard decision. We looked at a 23-foot Airstream or a 25, but there's a long wait for them. The brand new ones that are coming off the production line don't necessarily have the same quality as the older ones. We've done the whole, and they have a wonderful warranty. And we've been through that twice now.
But it takes about 6 months to get warranty work done too.
Right.
So.
And
that's pretty much everywhere. That's
to
not just
iron out all the
Airstream,
kinks, it took us about 1.5 years, and we just weighed the options and didn't feel like on the road that was the best option for us to try to facilitate maintenance and warranty repairs, especially since we're headed to Alaska next summer.
Yeah, and I mean, the Oliver could have some of the same stuff.
It probably will.
Part of it was also, for my perspective, that there's now 450 watts of solar on the roof of the Airstream. There's now 400 amp hours of lithium batteries in the Airstream. These are things that I had to do above and beyond, or I would have to make an appointment to have done if we were to get another Airstream. The Oliver comes with 400 watts of solar on the roof. We still have, as you can see in the background, our 230 watt solar suitcase. So we have 430 watts of solar capacity. And the suitcase actually does better than the roof on any of these. But it also comes with 640, I believe, amp hours of lithium batteries already included, a larger inverter already included, and it's a true four-season camper. It's a fiberglass hull, so it doesn't have quite the limitations that the aluminum does. Anywhere the aluminum comes together, there tends to be little gaps, and we actually had a mouse come visit us in Wyoming when we were up in Vitavu.
And we had mice get in the Airstream when it was on the property in Maine too.
And squirrels.
So chipmunks.
There are gaps in the lower portion of the hull of the Airstream where all the aluminum's coming together. And yeah, you can fill them with foam and things like that, but that just makes it harder if you have to do more work in there. So right now our solution is literally tinfoil stuffed in there. And it's worked. It's working fine, but it's not a very elegant solution. With a fiberglass one-piece hull, there are no holes for them to get into. The only holes are sealed with something going through them already. So those gaps that the Airstream has, that's just part of an Airstream, they don't have to deal with. So there's a lot of parts. And there was a lot of me towing with white knuckles, feeling like we're in jeopardy multiple times along this trip, whether it be steep declines, and having a camper that weighs in upwards of over 9,000 pounds, pushing to 10,000 pounds max, and a truck that's 7,000, your tail does wag the dog on occasion.
And just seeing how people drive too. I mean, there's been a lot of instances.
It's not me, it's the other guy, trust me.
The stopping room, you need a lot more. And I will say, for those of you that have never towed a trailer, when you're out on the road, just a public service announcement, when you go to pass somebody that's pulling a trailer behind them, or a Class A motorhome, the big bus-looking ones, give them plenty of room before
Don't cut them off.
You get back in the lane. At least their full length, give them before you get back over, because those have been the times where we've had to slam on the brakes and have it be really scary situations.
Yeah, in Denver, we came about 10 feet away from colliding with the vehicle that slammed on their brakes in front of us. Pulled in front, slammed on their brakes.
Mm-hmm.
I had to lock up ours as best I could, but the trailer's set so it doesn't lock up, which is intentional. If you lock your brakes, then you have less friction acting on them, and you actually are going to take longer to stop, which is why vehicles now have ABS. And our ABS did kick in. It was that much of a oh crap moment that we were almost going to hit someone. And we were able to stop, but barely. And I felt like there wasn't a whole lot of wiggle room. Like there's just not, when you're pulling something this big, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room. And that's great. I mean, I know a ton of people do it, and hats off to you. And we've done it. I think I've got about 9,000 miles on it now. So it's not that it's not doable. It's just, I prefer to have a larger safety margin. So when we're going down steep inclines or up steep grades, it's not taxing. It's not stressing me out. It's not stressing the truck out.
It's more enjoyable for us to have a lighter camper.
Yep.
As Jason alluded
Smaller.
to, more four-season. You know, the Airstreams are wonderful and iconic, but they really are a two-season camper. They have single-pane windows. They have, you know, not a whole lot of
gaps.
insulation, a lot of gaps. I mean, you can feel the cold air coming in through the windows.
Yeah. You turn on a vent inside, and you can feel air coming in through different crevices.
So with the Oliver, it is a double hull fiberglass.
With insulation between.
With insulation in between and better windows. And it's
double pane windows.
It was a hard decision. I mean, we've loved the Airstream. Yes, they are iconic.
Obviously, you've had two.
Yeah. But the Oliver is going to allow us to do more of what we want to do on this trip. And it really, that's what it boiled down to. It's smaller, it's lighter. We can get into more places, go places that are colder. And that's really going to play a big part. We feel, we don't know for sure, but we feel like once we get to Alaska, it's really going to open up a lot of doors that this Airstream would keep us from.
And out west, I mean, we've been limited a few times now on the ability to go to parks or go to, you know, different areas that we can't get into because there's a 25-foot limit. And that's already been a couple of spots. I mean, Kelly doesn't see it as much, but when I'm doing route planning and stuff and looking at our next stop, there's plenty of places that we can't bring a 30. It's called a 30. It's about 34 feet end to end because we have the Pro Pride hitch and we have the bike rack on the back. So we're well over 30. And that limits you pretty severely at times. We're just trying to find a spot. You know, you may go into a campground that's first come, first serve, and there's plenty of spots available that are small, but nothing big enough to accommodate us. So I think the next big part, I think we beat to death the why are we doing this? So how are we going to go from a 30-some foot camper down to a 23-foot 6-inch? And truly, the livability is about 10 feet less.
Yeah.
The inside of our camper, I think we measured at one point, it was like 28 feet from the back bulkhead to the front bulkhead. In the Oliver, it is 18 feet. So we're literally losing 10 feet of living space.
Thankfully, we are. I mean,
and it's a foot and a half narrower. Sorry.
Oh yeah, that makes a big difference too. So I am a career logistician. So. And you know, certified as a logistician through Defense Acquisition University. Thank you. And Jason has plenty of logistics background as well from his time in the military. So we will figure it out, but it is going to be a logistical challenge, not only in facilitating the sale of this while it's our home, but also transitioning down to a smaller. Much smaller camper, but
much smaller footprint. We got to get it ready. We've already sent a few boxes back to Mom. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Diane.
There will be more coming, unfortunately. We will probably sell off some things, give away some things.
Just not replace things that...
Right, some things that we have extra of or that we stock up on. That won't be... That's a luxury we won't have. And I'll continue to work on Roman and make Roman a little more of a cargo beast. We're losing a lot of payload. The tongue weight on the Airstream is pretty substantial. It's over 1,300 pounds. The tongue weight on the Ollie we expect to come in, even with the pack on the little storage bin on the A-frame, it should be in the 600 to 700. So we're going to about 50% decrease of tongue weight, which gives me back about 600, 700 pounds of payload. So we make it a little creative with more boxes on the truck, move some things around to have a little more secure storage on her. On him, I guess Roman. It's kind of a him name. But yeah, so we'll figure it out. Kelly's going to get rid of a lot of bathroom products. We're going to get rid of a lot of kitchen products.
A lot of kitchen stuff, yeah.
And we're just going to be smaller, more nimble.
Yeah.
Able to get places quicker, easier.
We're excited.
Yeah, I'm excited. A little nervous.
A little nervous.
How can you not be?
Yeah, it's a big change.
And I know I'm under no, false idea that we're going to pick it up and we're going to pull out and it's going to be perfect and everything's going to fit as we need it to, and there's going to be no problems, nothing's going to break. Even if Oliver's are perfect and everything they do, which, let's face it, nobody's perfect, no company, nothing's perfect. So there will probably be some problems that are Oliver induced, but they also use all their equipment is from third-party vendors. So we've got Truma this, Dometic that, SureFlow this. I mean, we're going to be dealing with other companies that they may have faulty components that come in. Oliver puts them in just like Airstream does, just like Jayco does. I mean, they all use the same sort of things. You toss them in. If they break, that's not really on Oliver. I mean, they got a bad component and put it in. Should be picked up when they do the pre-serve or pre-delivery, and we're going to stay in Hohenwald, Tennessee. We didn't mention we have to go to Hohenwald, Tennessee.
It's got to backtrack a little
to
bit
go pick it up. So yeah, we're backtracking a couple thousand miles, but hey, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah. But when we pick it up, we'll stick around that area for a couple weeks, however long we have. We're supposed to take delivery at this time. It's scheduled for April 24th. That's subject to slide either way.
February 24th.
I'm sorry, February 24th. That's subject to slide either way, depending on if somebody else cancels an order and they move us up, or if there's slowdowns in productions or supply issues, has been happening for a while now. We could move to the right or to the left. We did actually move to the right about a month and a half. Somebody who was in Seattle was nervous about picking up her Oliver in the middle of winter or in, early spring, very, very early spring, and having to transit cross country during snowy times. So we actually swapped dates with her.
Yeah,
we took her February 24th spot. She took our April 4th spot, I think April 4th, 3rd, something like that.
Yep. Which worked out better for our plan to be able to get to Alaska and not have to push too hard. And gives us time to iron out
any kinks.
While we're in Tennessee.
Fix what's broke, make improvements, make it more livable. I mean, we were going from about 200 square feet to about 100 square feet. So even though we're only losing 10 feet, that extra width that we're losing as well
you only live
really
once.
Makes things different. But we get a bigger bed. It's got like a king-size convertible
it's got a massive bed.
So
Stormy's going to love that.
A U-shaped dinette. It's got a little 2-seater dinette instead of a 4-seater dinette. It's got a 2-burner cooktop instead of a 3-burner.
But
it's got a convection oven which we can run off the batteries and inverter. Thus the want and need for a much larger, more robust electrical system. But also knowing that, theirs is designed with that larger system in place. So they've already used the upgraded wiring and things like that. And when all was said and done, when we looked at the cost, these aren't cheap trailers, but when we looked at the cost of it, as opposed to the cost of the Airstream after we were to do everything needed to make the Airstream equal to in ways in solar, in power generation, and inverters and everything else, in order to make it approximately equal, still not having the insulation, still not having the double hull with the mouse-proof areas, we were looking at about a $15,000 to $17,000 increase in the cost of the Airstream. So there is a cost factor.
And then the time to facilitate getting all of that done.
Yep.
And it wouldn't have been possible.
If we could even get one.
Right.
Because there's no guarantee. The one I called on was sold the day I called on it. It was listed the day before. It was sold the following day. So we started looking at other options, and we looked at what it would take to order one, an Airstream instead of an Oliver.
Yeah.
But the Oliver really, we lived on boats for almost 5 years or whatever. So we've got a lot of experience in that fiberglass hull, and it kind of feels like home to me when we when we first walked in to Christina's. Yeah. Thank you so much, Christina, for letting us see yours. When we were able to go see hers in Texas and walked in, it was an immediate...
It was a smack in the face.
Yeah. It was like this memory of
for those
not
of
dreaming.
You that have, that
we bought our first sailboat together.
When we had Not Dreamin', our first Catalina 350.
Our only Catalina 350, but our first sailboat together.
Yes, it was. It smelled.
And our only brand new sailboat.
Yeah.
And it had that brand new fiberglass
smell, and it was the first sign.
Yeah.
As soon as we opened the door, it just kind of felt like home. It felt comfortable. It was a familiar, it's funny how sometimes those, smells will bring back a
Bring back
memory right
memories.
away, and it felt right before we even started like looking at how it was set up and the storage and what we would be able to have and what we know that the things that we've learned from being on the road that we are the really nice to haves that we
Yeah.
would like to keep. And
Or the things we haven't even used since we've left.
Yeah.
There's plenty of those.
Yep. And we didn't know what we didn't know when we were packing, and it's kind of like just like with homes, like you fill the space you have.
Right.
And that's what we did with the
And
30-foot
Seymour
Airstream.
2.0 has plenty of space for us to
So
fill.
much storage. So
we've
we didn't
filled it.
skimp on that when we left.
No.
So, but yeah, we're super excited. Like Jason said, we're a little nervous, but I just, this is a once in a lifetime trip that we're planning right now, and
That we're on. Planning stage is over.
we're still planning, but that we want to get the most out of it, and this is really going to allow us to do so much more than we could with the Airstream.
And the signs are everywhere.
Oh,
Put
everywhere.
it out to the universe. I mean, it's kind of, our friend Allison says that a lot. And there's some truth to it, because
There is.
after we made the decision, we were in Fort Sumner, or Sumner Lake State Park.
No, Ute Lake in Logan.
We ordered it in Sumner.
Yes.
We got to Ute Lake, which was our next stop in New Mexico. And the day before we left, right next to us, pulls in an Oliver travel trailer.
Keep in mind, there aren't very many of these
No.
on the road, and the fact that literally a day or two after we placed the order, our next campsite had one roll in right next to us.
And I think that's the only one we've seen, except
Yes.
for on the road. Like in passing, we saw another, I believe it was, the casitas look a lot the same. But this was an Oliver. And I think you'll see a picture of it in the video that's coming out tomorrow, maybe. Anyhow.
But yeah,
that
and there's
sums
been
it up.
other subtle signs that just have reaffirmed, that we made the right choice of going this route. And
And it's funny because it dates back to, I had a 28-foot sailboat. Then when we were living together, we moved in on board a 35-foot sailboat. And then we had to get a 44-foot sailboat because we need the extra space. We were going to travel around the world, do this and that. Most of that obviously didn't come to fruition. And now we find that our 44-foot sailboat is way too big. And there's a saying in the nautical world, go small, go now. We have done the same thing now. We will eventually be getting rid of Last Tango, our 44-foot sailboat, and going to something smaller. We are now doing the same transition where we had a 27-foot camper, we got a 30-foot camper, and now we're going down to a 23-foot camper. Go small, go now, enjoy it while you can. I had a buddy from when I was initiated as a chief in the Navy who messaged me the other day and said, I can't wait till I can do that. It's figuring out how much you need and how much that is enough for you. Because you know what? We're not going to get our years back. We can make the money later. We can, change investments. We can say enough is enough and I don't need more. But we're not going to get the years that we're losing in the workforce back. So.
And life can change in an instant.
Yep. We've seen that from our dearest friends in Maryland.
Yep.
Who their lives took a big change.
Here recently.
You know who you are, and we love you and miss you.
Yeah. And constantly
wish we could be
thinking of
there.
you, and really glad that things are looking well.
Yeah. Good news today, so
Awesome news today.
thank the gods, right?
Yes. So, but no, it does put things in perspective that, you have to do it while you can. And,
Go small, go now.
yep,
Go big, you may never go.
that's right. Or it may limit you from doing the things that really do fulfill you. And for Jason and I, this right here, I mean, we've been,
Had some incredible hikes here in New Mexico. You'll see a lot of that in upcoming videos, but
this whole trip.
we're starting to find our groove, and it's not sitting inside a luxurious large camper. It's being outside and reconnecting with nature.
Yeah.
Gaia, whatever you want to call it. But that's what's fulfilling for us. So to each their own.
Fills our cup, and we want the cup to overflow.
Our cup runneth over.
There you go.
And with that, we'll say goodbye for now.